There's no surprise that the Indiana Fever looked best tonight when the offense was ran through Caitlin Clark. There's no surprise that the offense looked best tonight when we pushed the ball off of a make, pushed the ball off of a miss. There's no surprise that the Indiana Fever looked best tonight when Caitlin Clark was surrounded by players that don't have an ego, surrounded by players that said, I'm gonna be MVP of the WNBA this year. And you see how easy it is when you just let Caitlin play ball and others follow suit?
They said she was the 9th best point guard in the league. 9th. Yet when the dust settled in Atlanta, one coach was left staring at the scoreboard like he'd just seen a ghost. Final score: Indiana Fever 99, Atlanta Dream 82. And the architect behind the destruction wasn't some grizzled veteran. It was Caitlin Clark, who dismantled the Dream without even scoring big. If that's what the 9th best looks like, then the rest of the league is in serious trouble. And by the way, if you're tired of the media downplaying Clark's impact, hit that like button and subscribe to Spotlight WNBA. We tell it how it is.
So today, lads, we're going to talk a little bit about the fourth quarter, and we're going to be talking a little bit about how the Atlanta Dream, in my opinion, just had no answer for Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever in that fourth quarter. And realistically, for quite a bit of the second half, they had no answer for an aggressive Caitlin Clark.
Atlanta came in with a plan. They studied the tape. They met behind closed doors, probably drawing up schemes to trap her, to pressure her full court, to turn her into a passer. They thought they could force Clark to be something other than herself. And to be fair, for the first half, it almost worked. They clogged her driving lanes. They bodied her. She only had 5 points. The Dream even held a lead at one point, puffing their chests like they were about to prove something. But they forgot one thing. You can't hold a hurricane in your hand.
They were manhandling Caitlin Clark early in that game. Like, they had 2 hands on her. They were fully getting into the we are grabbing her and we don't really care. Like, that was their goal. Their goal was they were out there to maul Caitlin Clark. They had they had absolutely no intention of doing anything other than mauling Caitlin Clark.
The second half looked like a different universe because for once, head coach Stephanie White decided to stop trying to fit Caitlin Clark into her system and finally let Clark play her game. The pace exploded. The offense ran through Clark. Gone were the awkward half-court sets and the hesitations. This was vintage Iowa mode Caitlin. Fast, aggressive, visionary, and it worked instantly. The Fever started pushing the ball off every make, every miss. They found a rhythm, and at the center of it all, Caitlin Clark orchestrated every movement like a conductor with a baton.
They made sure Caitlin Clark had the ball in her hands. She became the creator of offense. It's what we've been saying. Her and Aaliyah Boston, I believe it was 4 times, got the Stockton-Malone 2-man game working. Dantas got involved at one point with Caitlin Clark. Caitlin was still off on her shooting tonight. But
here's the kicker. She only scored 12 points, but she dropped 9 assists, made half a dozen hockey assists, and created enough space for her teammates to feast. Kelsey Mitchell, cooking. Aaliyah Boston, dominant in the pick and roll. Even Sophie Cunningham started lighting it up from deep. What Clark did wasn't flashy, it was surgical. She broke down defenders like Jordan Canada, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. Canada couldn't stay in front of her. That's how much pressure Clark puts on a defense, even when her own shots aren't falling.
But you saw Clark sort of gaining her rhythm as the game went along, sort of returning to her form as the game went along, finding that pep in her step as the game went along, even though the shooting numbers were tour dates again, and she's got to find that shooting stroke at some point. Look, it can't go on all year, but you understand where some of those struggles come from when you deal with a quad injury and then a groin injury, and you're thrust back into the lineup and you're trying to find your way. But I do think it was the way that Clark found her way to the basket that was the difference in this game, really. That was what changed the dynamics of this game.
By the time the fourth quarter started, it wasn't even a contest. The Dream were huffing and puffing while the Fever were flying. The Atlanta coach's face said it all. Total confusion. He admitted after the game, "We had defensive breakdowns and we tried some things we weren't equipped to do. Translation, we got cooked and we don't know what happened. All that preparation, all that film study, like shredded by Clark, playing with confidence, control, and freedom. And not just freedom for herself, but freedom for her team.
Been an inconsistent ride for Indiana and for Clark as well, who's had to fight through a lot of injuries. But I think the encouraging thing from Cece was the fight that she showed on the floor. Clearly, she's not quite at 100%, still working her way back, hasn't found her three ball yet, but what she did was attack. She used the physicality against the defenders by putting her head down and going to the basket. That opened things up for her playmaking, which of course is another genius aspect of her game. Once that started clicking, the Fever ran away with things. Sophie Cunningham was everywhere. Clark had it going with Aaliyah Boston again. Kelsey Mitchell was cooking. And all of a sudden, you look up and the Fever are lighting up the scoreboard.
Let's address the absurdity. Caitlin Clark was voted by her peers as the 9th best point guard in the league. 9th. But these same coaches build entire defensive game plans around her. They trap her like she's Steph Curry. They body her like she's prime Diana Taurasi. They throw double teams at her the moment she crosses half court. You don't do that for the 9th best anything. So let's stop pretending this isn't about jealousy. Because if you fear her like she's the best, plan for her like she's the best, and get torched by her like she's the best, guess what? She's the best.
Even when she wasn't exactly getting when it wasn't her putting the ball in the basket or her showing up on the stat sheet, she was burning Jordan Canada. And people don't understand how good Jordan Canada is on defense. She was absolutely burning Jordan Canada. Canada could not stay in front of her. And that is a big thing. That is genuinely a big thing, that if you can't stay in front of her, it creates a space for everybody else. And there were some hockey assists, there was good ball movement, there was a lot of things. There was a lot of real positives when it came to Caitlin Clark today.
And here's the scary part. Caitlin Clark isn't even at 100%. She's battling through a quad injury and a groin strain. Her three-point shot still hasn't fully returned, but she's adapting. Instead of relying on deep threes, she's slashing to the rim. She's using defenders' aggression against them. She's learning how to win ugly. That's what makes her truly elite. She beats you however the game demands. And each time she hits the court, she adds a new weapon to her arsenal. This version of Caitlin Clark isn't just the best point guard in the WNBA. She's a shapeshifter, a system breaker, a matchup nightmare.
On the street is that Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White exchanged words going into halftime of this Atlanta Dream game. Now, I'm here to tell you, no footage has emerged of the altercation, but I'm pretty sure within a couple hours it's going to be roaming somewhere out there that this exchange happened.
During the third quarter, Coach Stephanie White finally let Clark cook, but did Clark have words with White at halftime? Sources say Clark and White were seen in what looked like a heated discussion, but whatever the case, the Fever looked different in the second half. Maybe White deserves credit for the turnaround, but don't get it twisted. One game doesn't erase the months of confusion. We've seen Clark stand in the corner while others bring the ball up. We've seen her go long stretches without touching the rock. That can't happen again. If White wants to win, this version of Caitlin, the tempo-controlling, transition-attacking floor general, has to be the blueprint. Anything less is malpractice. Because when Clark leads, the Fever don't just compete, they dominate.
Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White were having a heated discussion at halftime. Word in the street is Caitlin Clark told White to sit Kelsey Mitchell and Howerby's they don't pass. Could be true. Caitlin went to tie her shoe. Like, that is something that I noticed. Like, Caitlin literally, when Natasha Howard had the ball, she didn't even look. She was basically walking back on defense. She essentially walked back on defense every time Natasha Howard had the ball.
It's easy to get caught up in the box score, 12 points, 9 assists. But Clark's true value lies in how she changes the geometry of the court. Defenders can't sag. Help side defense collapses. Shooters get cleaner looks. Post players get more one-on-ones. She doesn't just score. She manipulates the entire defense, and she does it while being mauled, grabbed, and targeted every night. The refs might miss the calls, but the coaches feel the pain. Just ask the Dream. They were so busy trying to stop Clark that they forgot how to win the game.
Obviously, tough game. I thought we had a good first half. We were really competitive. Second half, we just had so many defensive breakdowns, and give them credit. They were getting extra possessions, and those extra possessions were turning into points just about every single time. So, just valuing ending their possession. It's not enough to force a tough shot. We got to come down with the ball. And then, we had some defensive breakdowns that they made us pay for. They were able to extend the lead. And then at the end, we had to, do some gambling and do some things that really we're not that equipped to do.
This wasn't just a win. This was a warning. Caitlin Clark is not just surviving in the WNBA. She's thriving, and she's doing it on her terms. Her injuries didn't stop her. The hate didn't stop her. The voting snub didn't stop her. And if you still think she's just pretty good, go rewatch that game tape from Atlanta. Watch a coach lose all control. Watch a team unravel in real time. Watch a player tear apart your scheme without even needing a 20-point night. Because when Clark plays her game, the league has no answer.
Bounce back win for you guys. What was working for you so well, especially in that second half offensively?
Yeah, I thought we just played with a really great pace. I thought we moved the ball. I thought we cut hard, which opened up the three-point line for us. And then we knocked down some shots, but also I thought our defense was really good. So I think it was both sides of the ball, and kind of felt like how we should get back out there and play, every single game. I think 99 points is probably the most we've put up in quite some time. I think somebody said 59 is the most scored in a second half in, quite a few years now. So.
If you enjoyed this breakdown and Caitlin Clark deserves way more respect than she's getting, do us a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to Spotlight WNBA. We've got more truth bombs coming, and we're not slowing down. Caitlin Clark isn't just the best point guard in the WNBA. She's the future, and it's time the league caught up.